Another thing that he did, he was a toolmeister. I mean, he brought a lot of tools into the world. And here's another one of those tools everybody has used at some point. He's the guy that created alphabet sets.
Hey,
this is the guy that come up with this idea right here. His name again is Lou Roth. So if you're thinking that you might not have ever heard this guy, I promise you he has affected the leatherwork that most everybody has ever done with his innovations and the things that he did. Alphabet sets, oh my gosh, who hasn't used those? I mean, they are just an essential thing, and he's the guy that first created that idea or that concept and brought it to the world of leatherworking.
So what was used previous to these alphabet type sets,
well,
was it just
prior to this, you would have had to take and trace some kind of an outline on there and then cut it with your swivel knife and then bevel around it or whatever to make it stand out. But you would have to actually carve the letters in, and many still do. I mean, many will use this here just for basically the cutting out of the letter, and then they will go ahead and bevel and background around them, make them stand out three-dimensionally. So, but what a great innovation this was. Oh my gosh, how many belts at Western wear stores where they put a name on the back and they were done with these stamps. I mean, this influenced the Western wear industry even with the name belts and stuff like that. So what a
guitar straps, rifle slings, anything like that could be personalized quickly. So it allowed for that easy industrialization of customization and leatherwork.
Many years, eventually Craft Tool Company was bought by Tandy Leather Company. It was, I think that purchase, and don't quote me on this, but I think it was in the late 40s, or no, it'd have been about mid 50s, probably about 53, 54. Anyway, or maybe it's even later, maybe 59. Anyway, at that time, Lou Roth ended up becoming the director of research and development for Tandy Leather. He was he had that role and was a Tandy employee for many years. And a few of the other things that he created along the line, many people probably have never heard of some of these things, but I'll show you a few things. He came up with an idea for a swivel knife blade that you can just change out the blade. It was called the Quick Change Swivel Knife Blade. And it had the blade was has a set a screw on the side of it here so that you can do it. This is the original packaging and such. And then you could put a new blade in there. And then of course they had you could buy the extra blades to go with it. But this was something that was available for a while. This one here was from. It says here that this was from Craftaid Company of Fort Worth, Texas. So this was early on in the world of leatherworking. This is something you'd have seen in the late 50s, early 60s. But this is another one of his brainchilds. Is
for $1 too. What a bargain!
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of these things are have some seasoning to them. Another thing that he was reportedly developed was a skiving tool, and I got to looking at this. My friend George Hurst was actually his boss, and George asked him to come up with a skiving tool, and I think he might be the guy that came up with this version of it here.
The super skiver.
Yes. Now, the reason I think that is because I have here the Little Giant skiving tool. There's the box, Little Giant skiving tool. This one here, I have no idea how old it is, but look at here. Here's maybe an early version of that tool, and it worked basically the same way. It's built like the thing that's commonly available today, but it has a replaceable blade in there, and it's really an essential tool. This is today because the ones that most everybody use, that old black skive they called it, or skiving. Safety beveler. I mean, it's got several names, but anyway, that basically is made for right-handed people.
One of these guys, right?
Yeah, that guy right there. That guy
Yeah.
right there. You know,
Yep.
they work great for a right-hander. For a lefty, you got to whittle away with it. It's just really a pain. They used to many years ago. I have seen those made for lefties, but obviously there's just not enough lefties doing leather work, so they weren't worth keeping in the line and continuing to produce. But
That's neat. So
yeah,
that one on the left on my screen, that one was developed by Lou and that was kind of the answer to that safety, the safety.
Yeah,
standard.
I mean, there. If you've been around and you've been in the leather business a little bit, if you've ever talked to people, there's been more than one that have cussed that little black thing that you held up there. I mean,
yes,
vehemently they've cussed that thing because it really is. Well, there's a technique to it. I mean, that'd be a great topic for another video or something. You know,
sure.
there's a right way to use it, and it is a very good tool, and it works really well, and it has never been improved upon really. But this was an attempt to improve upon it, and so yeah, that goes back. And now I know this was one of his projects. I don't have his name on any of these items here to be able to prove that, but I know that a skiving tool was one of the things that he was credited with developing.
So primarily Lou's, in the leather world, he was, primarily just that innovator and the inventor for Tandy during these kind of during these years of their formation and their kind of movement into the 60s and 70s.
Yes, that was his job, his responsibility. He was doing that stuff. That's what got him involved and got him connected with the folks at Craft Tool, was that innovative spirit. He obviously was a very talented leather worker as well, so he knew what the craft was. He knew what was needed out of a tool when he did it. And the other thing he was also an engraver. I don't know if you knew that. He also did silver work. And somewheres, I think, and maybe we can flash it up there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I seem to think of another guy we know that does leather work and silver engraving too. I can't think of his name. Kind of escapes me.
This here. There's another magazine article that I have that I think says a little bit about him. But off to the left of it is a picture of some tools that he had, and I can actually, if you'll put that up on the screen. I know you're looking for it.
So how old was,
there you go.
A lot of these, how old was Al Stolman when kind of he was introduced to Lou and kind of helped develop the Craftaid pattern?
I'd be speculating that. I do know that, this would have happened after the end of World War II because Al Stolman was in the war effort. And so when he came back, that's when he got into it. And yes, his artistic ability is what got him connected here. But this magazine article that you're looking there, I think this came, I don't know, I'd have to look up the year, but it's, anyway, off on the left there, you have a picture of his tools. And if you'd like to see a better picture of those tools, I happen to have them right here. And I can tell you a little bit more about this guy.
So those are the tools. So you said you would have some surprises for me, but those are the tools that are pictured in that magazine article from back when?
I'd guess that's got to be early 60s, maybe. I'd have to look. I have it here. Hang on. I don't have to guess. I've got it here.
Oh,
I got funny. The magazine too. This is the magazine came out that was published in was, hang on. There it is. This one came out in May, June of 1960. So that's May, June of 1960 is when that magazine came out. And so, wow. Yes, I have that set of tools. But there's a story that goes with these too, believe it or not. This here's nifty case that he made for it to be in, and that's pretty cool. Although he kind of went lazy on that, he his name on there is done with one of those. What do they call those? Yeah,
Oh, those label makers.
yeah. There
Yeah,
you go. The Dymo, whatever it was. But anyway,
yeah.
so he got. But the case is really well made. But here's what it is. This is kind of his showpiece, and so he was a silver maker or silver engraver. So you can
Okay.
see there. There's his name engraved on a plate there, and this end down here actually opens up. There you go. That's where those tools are stored. And these
What?
tools that I have out there are his tools as well. But you can see that. And then this other end over here, this obviously is an old striking stick. I mean, but you can tell by the lack of any kind of impressions or anything on that rawhide that this was hardly ever used. This was just show, him showing off his stuff. But he was
Huh.
a silver engraver. And of course, you saw here on the side of this case, there's a place where you carry your swivel knife. Well, here's his swivel knife, and he was a little extravagant. You don't just have a swivel knife; you have to have, in the yoke here, you have to have your
Oh my
initials
God.
engraved into it. And I don't know how well that shows up, but
Yeah, I can see
you can
it.
see that he's got a cutout there with the LR in there, right?
Yeah.
So he's got that on there. The blade that's in there is one of the old Rubaiyat blades, so it's got a ruby blade in it. This one's kind of seized up right now. I need to free it up. It's the yoke doesn't swivel, break it. I mean, it's pretty cool. But wait a minute, look at
Wow.
these tools. Wait a minute, these tools are pretty awesome. So the story behind these tools. All right. Company, and the rumor is that he had opportunity to be right there at the line as they were coming off, and he handpicked out of the tools that were coming off the very best ones that were being made. And this is back in the day where they were still being handmade. These were being hand ground and everything. But then he took these to his friend, his partner in the craft tool thing, a guy by the name of Al Stolman. And he said, Al, could you tune these tools up so that they work just like the ones that you have? And so these tools that I've got here in my hand were actually hand tuned by Al Stolman.
Al Stolman. Wow. What leather
Wait a minute
that you're holding right now?
Yeah, but wait a minute. He was. I told you he was a little extravagant. You know what else he did? He went and had these things gold plated.
Oh my gosh. That is incredible.
These tools are actually gold plated, and they're as fine an example of a stamping tool you will ever see in your life. They are absolutely exquisite. They're better than anybody is making today. And I say that knowing that there's some fantastic that could make them this good, yes. But these were made, well, that article was from 1960. Yeah. I mean, so these come from a while back, and before CNC machines and before all the equipment and such we have today.
Wow, that's
just incredible. A phenomenal thing. But yeah, so this is a little bit of the guy by the name of Lou Roth. And another part of his story, there's more to his story than that. So
do you ever, I got to ask about those tools. Do you ever, do you ever tool things with them and you're just like, oh, this is kind of neat? Or like, do you, do you keep them tucked away on the
shelf? I have used them. They are exquisite. They are crisp details to the impressions that are just unbelievable. And so, yeah, they're fantastic tools. But the reason nobody would ever see me use those in a class I'm teaching is because I would never want someone to think that you got to go have this kind of quality level of tool before you could ever do great leather work. And that is absolutely not what I want people to learn in any class I ever teach. I use the most common thing that anybody can go by today. It's all about how much you know about using the tool rather than the tool you have.
Yeah, and
this here is to show you just a little bit. it's just to show you a little bit about who Lou Roth was, what kind of a maybe a little bit of an eccentric that he was. But because of that, the gifts that he left to the world of leatherworking are just phenomenal.